Cummings.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. As I listened to my good friend Senator Brownback, I just could not help but think, and I listened to you, Mr. Chairman, too. I could not help but think that I hope that we don't come to this hearing and have something that my mother, who is a former sharecropper, she would say we have motion, commotion, and motion, and no results. Motion, commotion, emotion, and no results. When you've got 11% of Americans now in what's termed marginal food state, that is, they are insecure with regard to having enough food. When you've got 14% increase at food banks, and when, as the chairman said, you've got Costco and other stores limiting the amount of food that can be purchased, rice in that instance, I want to just remind all of us that this is still America. And as I heard the chairman talk about the difficulty that his family was having, I could not help but think about the neighborhood that I live in. I live in the inner city of Baltimore, where they don't have a combined income, in many instances, of $75,000, let alone one person making $175,000. So if the chairman is concerned, and rightfully so, you can imagine what the folks that are lining up at the food banks and the folks who are insecure, food insecure, meaning that they run out of food before the end of the month, or they don't have enough food to nourish their children and their families properly. You can imagine what they must be going through. We all know, and we'll hear today, that all the problems, there are a lot of problems that have caused us to be here today. You know, severe weather problems throughout the country, greater demand for food across the world, gas prices, transportation costs of hauling this food, and we can go on and on. I think the question is, and I hope that our panel, as they tell us about the problems and explain to us about how food prices have increased at a faster pace than they have in 17 years, how do we help Americans? Hello, how do we help them? Tomorrow, people in my district will be going to the supermarket, and their dollar is going to purchase much less than it did a year ago, and that's real. At the same time, we know throughout this country we are facing an obesity problem. And part of the problem with regard to obesity is people cannot get the kind of foods that they need and sometimes cannot afford them. So we already had a problem. It's simply going to get worse. Ladies and gentlemen, I've often said if we can send people to the moon, we ought to be able to solve the problems here on Earth. And I cannot, and someone said a moment ago, we need to bring Mr. Bernanke back so he can help us with this problem. Well, whoever said that, if you were at the last hearing, I asked him about how to address the subprime issue, and he said he didn't know. So I don't know whether that's going to do us any good. So I'm hoping that these experts who are here today will help us resolve this issue, because while we sit here, there are people who are worried about how they are going to feed themselves and their families. Thank you.